another episode of Lie, Cheat, and Steal, the podcast about liars, frauds, thieves, and bullshitters. I'm your host, Pat Royce. Just to let you guys know, we're a bi-monthly podcast. We drop 2 episodes every month out here on our free feeds. You can listen to them wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to check us out even further, you can find us on social media. We are on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Lie, Cheat, Steal Podcast. You can also, if you like what you hear, you can find us on our Patreon at patreon.com/lie, cheat, and steal. You get access to 2 more episodes every month. Also, ad-free episodes that would go out on our free feed. We also have access to our Discord server. You can chat with like-minded individuals about scams. So check that out again. It's patreon.com/lie, cheat, and steal. That being said, I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Kath Barbadoro. Kath, how you doing?
Hi, Pat. I'm good. It's nice to be here. I was running a little late today because I was finishing. I'm a self-tanner person now. I got some on sale, and now I do the self-tan. So I had to put on. I'm putting on my self-tanner. It's gonna like develop while we're recording, and then I'll wash it off after. But I'm like so uncomfortable now. Like I did not wait long enough for it to dry, so I'm just sort of like, trying not to, like no joints folded, just sort of like trying to be as, thick straight as possible. We'll see what happens. I'm just wearing like a huge t-shirt right now and hoping for the best. So.
I love the trying to look natural when uncomfortable. All the poses that one hits in that phase. Just like, hey guys, what's up? How y'all doing?
Yeah. Just a little bit of this.
I'm just big up in everybody. I'm just big up in the whole crowd. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm doing. Damn, that's what's up.
It's so weird. Like I used to do it a lot, and it's so weird because it's like the stuff it's this chemical called DHA, right? That like develops and makes you look tan. And they've like come a long way with the whole process, but there's nothing they can do about the fact that DHA stinks. It smells so bad. It smells like you're dirty. Like it smells. It's like a hard. It's like chemically-ish, but also just like not BO. I don't know. If anyone's ever used self-tan, I feel like you know what I'm talking about. You just smell like stinky.
Yeah.
And so hopefully I will not be driven crazy by it. But anyway, how are you?
I'm good. I just got off work today. Nothing much to report here. It's hot. That sucks. Just regular average Tuesday. What anything happened? No, almost everything has been unremarkable. There was a 5-year anniversary.
Well, we did. We just recorded 3 days ago. We don't have a lot to say. I feel like because we saw each other very recently. Yeah,
very recently. Nothing. Yeah, nothing of note. Let's see. Our friends at the lodge, the old bar before the new bar I work at, it had its 5-year anniversary party at what would have been, what is now the new place 456. It was a 5-year anniversary party for the lodge, and our friend's metal band played, and you're talking about just kind of smelling like a steak. I walked in, and it's like we hadn't really had a show in there before, and I walked in as a bunch of metalheads, and like these guys were very like hash metal kind of guys, like that style.
Yeah.
It smelled like 100 denim jackets in there, and it was just like 100 dudes denim jackets.
How's the AC in that building? I hope
it's better powerful. It's better than it was. Those
guys don't dress for the summer.
They do not. It was insane.
They either dress like it's winter all year round, or they wear shorts all year round. No in between.
Yeah, our boy Heath has had a leather jacket on. Not a leather jacket, but he's had leather jackets as well, but also a jean vest just the entire summer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like a whole everybody in there had like a thick mustache and long hair. There was one guy wearing a wizard cloak, and it was like 93 degrees, and I was just like, What's going on
They
here?
commit to the look.
I can't do it. I'm wearing a goddamn golf eyes on just because I'm like.
I know you look preppy today.
I know, thank you. Yeah, I had to go buy clothes that were just gonna be cool this summer. I was like, man, it's gonna be so hot, so I went and bought a lot of those like golf material shirts, but not playing golf. So I refuse because golf. You know what that is? That is a game of the elite, and that's a bit of a segue today.
Yeah,
I wanted to do this. The focus on our show today, this is somebody who I was lightly familiar with by name for years. Just I knew he existed, and I knew he was like a political figure. I really didn't know much, and I knew that the guy, the fan of the Black Panthers, was named after him. I knew that. And that
I
was
didn't know that.
yeah.
Huey Newton was named after him.
Huey Newton. Today we're talking about Huey P. Long. I came back into familiarity with this guy, back into familiarity. My first actual familiarity came with saw some of his speeches on TikTok, and he was a hell of an orator, and he's saying stuff that is very pertinent to where we're at today in society. He has that famous barbecue speech where he's like, what if we had a barbecue and 3 men came and took up all the grub that was meant for the remaining 100? And he's like, we tell them to come back and give that grub they had no business getting. And so he's just a guy you can't help but be intrigued by. We're talking today again about Huey P. Long, the American, aka the Kingfish, is what everybody called him back then.
Nice.
The Kingfish,
That's tight.
Taken from a slick talking character from an Amos and Andy sketch. A guy who was just always running some kind of game, and that was Huey P.
It sounds like they clocked him pretty early.
Yeah.
He always had, because we're going to talk about your tagline for this was "What if Donald Trump was cool?" Which is from what I know, which again I'm pretty limited stuff about, but he was like a forceful, charismatic populist. Also very corrupt, but on the left, is kind of the vibe, right?
Yeah, 100%. He was a crazy orator, a wild shit talker. He used to call he was very young, when he got into politics, and so a lot of his opponents were very old, and he would call them fucking raisin-eyed, bird-necked. Like he called this one guy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he called this one guy a buzzard neck, and founded a political newspaper. Founded it for the existence of attacking his opponents, and hired cartoonists to draw pictures of all his stooped over old man nemesis sitting in a tree like fucking vultures.
Amazing.
He was a force of nature, and this guy wanted to get into today. And also, very, very corrupt. A lot of backroom deals made for politics.
He wouldn't be on the show if he were just a really cool politician.
Yeah, if he was a really cool dude. We have the good guys, but this guy's not in that. He's in the cool dude, the cool dude file for sure. But he also was lustful for power and did everything in his power to consolidate his power, and in a way where it was people have called him America's first dictator. We're just gonna get into this guy right now. Huey Long was an American politician from the state of Louisiana who served as both the governor and the senator of that fine state from 1928 to 1932 and from 1932 to 1935, respectively. If you're curious about any perceived overlap in those two tenures, then you find yourself in the company of just about everyone fucking else at the time who was like, hey, can you do that? And he was like, oh, don't worry about what I can and can't do.
Wait, he was both the governor and the senator at the same time? At the same time. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Love it.
Just out the gate, this is he kind of just established a new paradigm. And he was like, again, I'll get to the moment, but to call Huey Long a polarizing figure would be a grave understatement. The for him or against him camps at the time, known as pro-Long and anti-Long, became defining traits in Louisiana politics at the time. It established two separate schools of political thought that lasted well into the current era. You can go back in times well after this guy's death, and politicians would refer to themselves as pro-Long or anti-Long, decades after he was out of the picture, because that's how radically he divided Louisiana politics.
Yeah, interesting. I feel like it does speak to not only did you like this guy, but what is your approach to politics in general?
Yeah.
I can see that being a very stark divide.
It was. And so he was this guy he was loud, he was boisterous, flamboyantly dressed, trumpet voiced. He was a left-leaning populist who championed working class causes and railed against the wealthy 1% of American society.
I'm imagining Danny McBride.
Yes, I could. That would be a very good one. I was thinking today about why there hasn't been a movie or a biopic about him, and then now that you say that, I'm like, oh, it should be a comedy for sure.
Yeah. Or at least have someone funny in the role. They love to, especially a few years ago, they'd love to give an older white guy comic a serious, meaty role.
Yeah.
This could be in I don't know, 5-10 years when Danny McBride's I'm going to do one that's a little bit serious.
Yeah.
He could, pull on the comedy chops.
That's
and then
really good. I could see that for sure. That'd be very good.
Let's write it, Pat.
Yeah. So yeah, he vowed to take, basically his whole thing was, I'm going to take the wealthy 1% back to the negotiating table, and we're going to cut ourselves a larger share. He was also controlling.
And this was the Depression too, right?
So this was right before the Depression.
High time.
And he was, things were going great. And his part of Louisiana that he came from, we'll get into it in a bit, was like a standout of poor among poor. And like Louisiana itself was fucked. All the resources were concentrated in like your Baton Rouge and your New Orleans, but where he represented, which is like the northern hilly swamps, like that was completely overlooked and like wildly impoverished, almost non-educated to a 100, like
probably like no electricity,
no paved
water.
roads. And it was just like there was no way out yet. However, there was all this oil money, there was all this money within the church, and there was all these huge business interests that were in the state. And so he was, but they keep in mind, because this was the good times. This was the Gilded Age, just 1928, and shit was like off the charts bad, and it wasn't going to get any better, and he understood that. So he was also controlling, and he was so self-centered, and like he regarded so his state regarded him with near Christ-like admiration, and the wealthy powers that be viewed him with terror and contempt. And history is divided on Huey. My own assessment of the guy in my research is probably unsurprising. I like him. I think he's pretty cool. He seems almost tailor-made to be liked by me. So like I completely understanding my own biases here, but I watched a really good Ken Burns documentary about him, and it was made in the 1980s. So a lot of the older people he's talking to were there for the whole thing, and the people who loved him are poor rural farmers or working class people, and they talk to a little bit of the political establishment. And there's this one lady, I forget her name, she takes herself very seriously, but she just looks like a real pain in the ass. And she's like, she's dressed like the lady that runs the burlesque house on The Simpsons, just like almost like Southern Gothic kind of. And she's sitting there and she's like, talking about their fight against Huey Long. She was like, I felt like there was revolution going on. And she was like, and it was him. He was doing the revolution.
And we had to stop it.
And we were stopping it. Like, has no problem. Like, there's a comfort with that level of, like, genteel old Southerners who are completely comfortable with the class assignment. And they take no shame in the idea that, yes, I'm upper class. If you guys rise up, it's eating out of my pocket. And I completely understand that you guys want to do that. And it makes sense. But I'm who I am, and I can't let that happen. It's I'm sure it's a descendant of slavery, obviously, that thought process. But
well, I mean, it like parallel things now. I mean, now it's like a complete crock of shit, but like people without a lot of stuff are willing to forego a little bit of authoritarianism here and there if they think they're going to get what they want. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like, look, if you're going to improve my material situation, but you want to like be a little bit of a dictator, like that's no skin off my back, because I already don't feel represented by this political process. So like, I don't care. And I think a lot of people feel that way about Trump. I think they're wrong to think he's going to give them anything, but like, I think that is kind of a similar, it's like, what do I care? Like, what do I care if he's undermining democracy? Democracy hasn't been representing me ever. So like, who cares?
I didn't undermine democracy. Democracy undermined me. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Well, like, I think he starts to fully understand at some point in his story that democracy isn't going to get the change he wants, and he sets about curtailing the restraints of it. And and he's damn good at it. This is one of those guys just preternaturally good at everything he ever did.
But when a real politician.
Yeah, when I said he seems tailor-made to be liked by me, I was thinking I agree with his legislative ambitions and his social programs and his views on wealth, and that oddly puts me in league with most of his detractors, both current and contemporary to him, because most folks agreed with his ideas, but his critics disagreed on his execution. That real pain in the ass lady from the documentary, she goes, he wants to give free school books to all children. And she goes, you want to give free school books to all children? Well, that's fine. But I disagreed with how he's going to pay for it, which we find out later was a 5-cent per barrel tax on Standard Oil.
Yeah. Well, it's like they're doing a similar thing with Zoran Mamdani's platform now, where like he wants free childcare in the city, and some like high up liberal op-ed person was like, no, childcare is a good idea, but it should be done federally. So I don't agree with this policy. It's like anything to like pick apart at something that seems manifestly good. It's like, well, this is why this is impossible, and you're being impractical, and we simply cannot tax the rich further. Like, that's not how this is going to happen, you know?
The idea of federal childcare, like, I'm not even one of those, like, scared of big government guys. I mean, I have my hesitations about it, but federal childcare just seems, I feel like we're watching it right now happening in Alcatraz in Florida. You know, that's what I think federal childcare.
That's what it would be.
It doesn't seem like, but then again, I don't know. That's just boogeyman words to me. Just federal childcare sounds like an internment camp. But yeah, Long had no problem calling for greatly increased taxes on the wealthy and the companies that created their wealth. He understood that he would need to roll back checks and balances to do this, and that even allowing his opponents the ability to oppose him would be enough to stop his most ambitious plans dead in their tracks. So he consolidated power in ways not dissimilar to European fascists. So he came into power, his first elected position was as a railroad commissioner. But he used that immediately, like it gave him access to certain allocations of mineral right funds. And so that just automatically became something that he got into. And he just did like a lot of guys that get into power. He swept out everybody. He had the ability to get out and replace it with his homies. And it was like
he was like, no more deep state. We're getting rid of the deep state. I'm putting in all my boys, and they're gonna answer to me.
I did want to start to draw some of the startling parallels between Huey Long and a current American populist political outsider who's gained power in recent years. Of course, our current president, Donald Trump. And there is, like I said, there's very strong parallels. It's just like, and it's not even necessarily between them personally as men. It's that they're both populists and there's a clear-cut way to take over a democratic establishment. Like, you know, Hitler did it. Hitler was elected. You know what I'm saying? Like, he get in. And so he checked a lot of those same playbooks, you know. But
I think that confuses a lot of people who don't like follow politics or who don't like know about like political ideologies and stuff. That like populism, it's like for the common man, but like that can be literally any policy. Like you just say that's what the people want, and then you try to appeal to some base desire, and it can be, we need to tax the rich so that we all can live better, or it can be, we need to get the immigrants out so we all can live better. And those are both populism, because they're both appealing to a like quasi imagined like demographic of people and what they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's wild. And what's wild is how effective it is, because it really does work. Because like you're not getting bogged down in policy. You're not talking about, okay, well, if we, you know, I just because the last political stuff I looked at really was Mamdani. He has that plan about really eliminating regulation and food trucks to make things $8 instead of $10, which I agree with the plan. It made sense to me, but they really had to like work hard to get that down to a digestible soundbite and go and say, hey, I'm ordering a plate of chicken shawarma from this place. What it used to cost was this. And they did a great job at doing that. But you don't have to get all the immigrants out or tax the wealthy. It's a sentence that explains itself. There's no, you just say it, and people who aren't very politically inclined or very politically educated are going to be like, yeah, that makes sense.
They're activated by that. In a way that like the classic Kamala Harris one with like student loans for people who open a small business and had a Pell Grant for 3 to 5 years or whatever. It was like some, and it's like, you are so hamstrung by the fact that you can't say free college. I know what you're doing, but you don't think it's possible. And also like a lot of things about populists is like, they aren't necessarily hurt by not ultimately delivering. You know what I mean? Like that the sentiment can get them pretty far. But anyway, I took us off down a sidetrack.
Oh no, I mean I think it fits in perfectly. Like they, I mean, even like I think the best like political phrasing to come out of the Democratic Party in recent years was Republicans are weird. I think hit harder than anything they came with, because it was 3 words. It was 1 word less than "Make America Great Again." It was Republicans are weird. It got the fucking point across. That was, I think, one of their most effective messaging campaigns, was just that.
Which again is like sort of populist, because it's like, we're normal. We're the regular people. We're the like salt of the earth normal people. These guys are like brain rotted by social media and weird as fuck. And like that. It's like more cultural than it is like a political platform or something, but it appeals to the same thing as free college or get the immigrants out or whatever. It's like a very basic, we're the normal ones.
Man, you know, like back in like old political messaging, I just always remember history class, Tippecanoe and Tyler too. And like, do you remember that old phrase? I bet that slapped back then.
Only know that because there was the ski area I grew up skiing at had a one trail called Tippecanoe, and the trail next to it was called Ann Tyler too.
Hey,
that's the only reason I have ever heard that. I don't remember what it's about.
I have no clue what it pertains to, but I can just imagine like motherfuckers back then when that came out, they were like, okay, all right, yeah, Tippecanoe.
When that dropped?
Yeah, when that dropped, yeah. Big deal. So let's get into the story of this man, Huey P. Long. So Huey P. Long, he was born on August 30th, 1893 in Wynn Parish, Louisiana. He was the son of a relatively well-to-do couple for the area. You know, he was... He never, his family, he liked to kind of portray, because he said he was born in a log cabin. The house was made of logs, but it was way fucking bigger than you're thinking. I saw a picture of it.
Right.
It's beautiful. And so he was born there near Winfield, a small town in north central Louisiana. And a small town, north central Louisiana, the seat of Wynn Parish. Although Long often told followers he was born in a log cabin to an impoverished family, they lived in a comfortable farmhouse and were well off compared to others in Winfield. So the residents down there, it was a strange area. Winfield actually, during the Civil War, voted to not secede, and they tried to join the Union. They were so poor, and they developed a class consciousness. And they were like, it wasn't necessarily that they were open-minded or for civil rights. They were just like, oh, I'm going to fight for the right to secede over slavery. It sounds like a rich man's game. That has nothing to do with us down here. And so
also, like, they're super poor. They're probably, it's not that they're like anti-racist. It's like, we're getting undercut by a ton of free labor.
Yeah, exactly. That's, it fucked them up too. So Wynn Parish, it was a stronghold of unionism, and it was in the 1912 election, they voted for Eugene Debs. He got 35% of the vote there, which is big for that area. So he was one of 9 children. Long was homeschooled until age 11 in the public school system. He earned a reputation as an excellent student with a remarkable memory. At one point, he just convinced his teachers to let him skip 7th grade. He was like, I said this
is what a goddamn talker this guy was. Yeah. 7th grade, he was like, I don't need to be here. Let's go.
Yeah. You and I both know I don't need to be here. So he got them out of here. So he ended up. This is kind of funny to me. So he skips high school, or skips 7th grade, goes straight to high school, becomes a debate champ, and goes to the high school, the town debate thing. He ends up winning 3rd place, and he's granted a full ride scholarship to Louisiana State University, but he can't afford the books. And there's no way. Yeah, there's no other way to make it happen. So he's just like, fuck it. So he gets out. He ends up going. He ends up going to college. He becomes a traveling salesman, and he ends up going to college out in Oklahoma at the Baptist University out in Norman. So I
bet he was good at being a salesman.
Oh, he was very good at being a salesman. He actually so he goes out there as he's in college. He's working as a salesman. He goes and he realized that people would spend money if they're having a good time. So he would just have like concerts and events and have bands play and be like, yo, come by. One of his things was cotyledone. It was a shortening derived from cottonseed oil that was a lard alternative. And he got out there and just presumably just did that old-timey salesman shit like, hey, it's the ever-loving, good-tasting, come on down. He was doing that kind of shit. He set up a baking contest where all the local ladies would bake in accordance with, and they would use cotyledone. And he spots this one young lady, and he's like, man, she's pretty cute. And so he just declares her and her mom, who's also in the contest, that they're both winners. They're co-winners. But they're co-winners now. He very soon...
Man, I'd be so pissed about that. Yeah. That would make me so mad. Like, I worked so hard on this fucking strawberry shortcake.
Yeah. You're just walking right by me over to her. Okay. All right. And her mom, too. What are the odds?
Right.
Yeah, well, they end up marrying. So at this point, he decides that he's like, man, he's like, he began to hate the like local business interests in his area and the corporate elites, because he said he saw one thing happen when he was a child that completely changed his worldview. He saw his neighbor lose his house at a bank auction because the guy couldn't pay his bills. He's begging and pleading at the auction, give me a few more days, I'll come with the money. The sheriff is about to say, okay, you can do that. And one of his creditors just puts down a winning bid on the house right there and snatches the guy's house away. So it pissed young Huey off. He said it was damn near, or he said it was criminal. He said the house is not criminal. So he decides he needs to do something to change. So he wants to go to law school. So he doesn't like. So he goes to the Oklahoma College, the College of Oklahoma at Norman, and he sees his brother there. His brother is already a lawyer, and he says, "Look, if you had to give me like a Cliff Notes kind of deal on how I can quickly get my law degree." What were the things that I would need to know? And he goes, well, it would probably be these things here. And he writes them out like an outline. He's like, got it. 3 semesters later, he has scrounged up enough knowledge and forgot none of it. And he convinces he goes to Tulane University in New Orleans, enrolls there, and then does a year concentrating on studies necessary for the bar exam. And then he just goes up to him and was like, hey, man, let me take the bar. Come on, let me take the bar. Let me take the bar exam. And
so he has not graduated from law school.
He has not graduated from law school.
He's just prepped for the bar. He's like, give me a shot.
Yeah, give me a shot. Let me take the bar. Fucking aces it first try. So, so he's out. So he moves back to Winfield, and he's like, dude, we're gonna start shaking shit up. And he goes in, and he's like, I am going to fight for the everyday average Winfield citizen. And so he goes and he starts a law office in a bank. It's in the upper stairs of a bank that is owned by his uncle. His first client is a poor woman who is getting sued by the bank, and he defends her against the bank. And his uncle was like, hey, Huey, don't you think this is a bit of a conflict of interest considering I'm your uncle, I own the bank, and your law office is based out of the bank building? He goes, oh, hell, if anything, this should be a compliment to you. He's like, Huey doesn't aim for no top water. He only goes deep for the big fish. Tells his uncle, like, you should be lucky I'm coming after you, dog. Like, so at this point, this is, like we said, this is right on the eve of the Depression. And like what would happen when the Depression did hit, and it hit this place hard, is things went bad. And this to give you an idea of how bad things were during the Great Depression. I don't think we need like a refresher course, but it was not uncommon for zoos that could not keep their animals alive to just kill the zoos and use the meat to feed people. There was a riot in Chicago where 50 men were bare knuckle boxing over a bag of trash because it was presumed that some food had gotten thrown away in it. And like, this is how bad shit was in, like, that was in Chicago, a city where there's like more commerce and finance. So things in Wynn got really bad. So like at this point, so they said that he had a strong sense of empathy, and he was just really good at kind of identifying what people needed, and going after this helped him as a salesman, but also helped him really grease the wheels in the political spheres. So, but before this, he developed a long-standing enemy in one J.P. Rockefeller and Standard Oil. So
nice.
This is one of those, like, if this went differently in history, how would things have gone? Because Long had invested in a small claim on an oil well, and years later it struck oil. So presumably, he's now sitting on a lot of money. But for whatever reasons, be it logistical or otherwise, Standard Oil said, no, we're not interested in buying oil from that well. And as you know, Standard Oil was really big on monopolies. And so if they're not buying from you, nobody's buying you because they're everybody.
Right.
So he was just kind of like floored. Here he is. He's like making good money as a lawyer, but he's got 3 kids at this point. He's got his pie wife, and he's just like, fucking doesn't know. Like, he's like, no, I did everything right. I did the research. I found a well. I worked hard, earned my money. I invested it in this fucking system you guys say works so well. And because the whims
I got oil.
And I got oil. And it worked. And it fucking worked.
Like,
yeah. But because of the whims of some billionaire who just is like, no, we're not going to buy from that oil. I don't get shit. On paper, it looks like it'd be a lot of money. It's really worth nothing. So
I can't sell it to anybody.
Yeah. So he decided that it was time to go after these guys. So he started by going after large corporations. The first one was his Cumberland Phone Company. It was a Louisiana phone company. And out of nowhere, they just started charging their customers 20% increases on their bills. And there was no particular reason other than that they could. So Huey took them to court, and he lost in his first attempt, but he appealed it. And the appeal went in front of the Supreme Court of the United States. And he goes in there, wins, and Cumberland had to cut 80,000 of their customers checks totaling $440,000 back in like the 1920s.
Damn.
Yeah. So
yeah. I wish this guy was around now to fucking take my energy company to task. New York, there's a monopoly. It's just the whole New York City region. It's Con Edison, and they'll slap people with random $400 bills all the time. It's crazy. I don't know how they get away with it. It's nuts. I've never been that unlucky, but like, yeah, it just happens sometimes. Need this guy back from the dead to get
get in here, man. So he gets that done, and like William Howard Taft was on the Supreme Court at the time. And William Howard Taft said he was the most talented lawyer to ever practice his profession inside the hollowed halls of the Supreme Court.
Wow.
Yeah. But then he got stuck in a bathtub. So who knows what that fat fuck was thinking? Right? He was just trying to butter him up so he'd help him out the tub. You, sir, are the most talented lawyer I believe I've ever seen. Now, grab my ankle and pull like the devil. Oh, man. He just gets stuck in the tub. They just got to bring the tub to court. And it's like, you just got a big...
rolling it in.
Yeah, but you try to wear a big judicial robe to cover it up. You're sitting there like clearly in a tub wearing a judge robe. Like, oh, what a sight. So finally, it's time for him to start getting into politics. So on August 30th, 1923, Long announces candidacy for the governorship of Louisiana. Long stumped throughout the state, personally distributing circulars and posters. He denounced Governor Parker as a corporate stooge. He vilified Standard Oil, and he assailed local political bosses. He campaigned in rural areas disenfranchised by the state's political establishment, known as the Old Regulars. Since the 1877 end of the Republican-controlled Reconstruction government, they had controlled most of the state through alliances with local offices. And essentially, nothing was happening. Like nobody was getting shit. There was unheard of poverty. And so he came through, and he decides, so this is after his election to railroad commissioner. So he got in as railroad commissioner.
Yeah.
Now he runs in the 1924 election. He also was an outspoken opponent of the Klan. I'm sorry, no, I apologize. He was outspoken. He remained neutral, alienating both sides. I apologize about that. So, yeah, but he also took a shot at Catholic voters, which was like a huge thing in Louisiana that he was not able to get. So finally, election day comes.
Why? Like took a shot at them, like tried to get them,
tried
or
to
took
get
a shot
them,
at them, like criticized
and
them?
He tried to get them, and they weren't feeling it.
I was gonna say criticizing Catholics in a Louisiana election does not seem like a good way to go. So he was agnostic on the Klan, didn't condemn, didn't approve.
And it alienated both sides.
Pro-Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, I guess if you're pro-Catholic, that is, at that time, kind of an anti-Klan stance, because they didn't like Catholics either. Yeah. So, anyway, sorry, I'm just trying to...
trying to figure out a picture of the time. So, he loses that election by he only pulled...
What was he running for?
He was running for the gubernatorial campaign, so he was running for governor.
Okay, in 24. Got it.
And so he loses that one. He'll get 17% of the vote. He blamed the weather. He said it was heavy rain on election day that suppressed voter turnout at his base in the north, where voters could not reach the polls over dirt roads that had turned to mud, which he'll solve that later. So Long spent the intervening 4 years building his reputation in political organization, particularly in the heavily Catholic urban South. Despite disagreeing with their politics, Long campaigned for Catholic U.S. senators in 24 and 26. Government mismanagement during the Great Mississippi Flood of 1927 gained long support of the Cajuns, whose land had been affected. So now he's got kind of like the working class behind him, and he's like, "All right, we're going all in." And he runs for governor again in 1928, and he wins by a landslide. He easily defeated the Republican nominee in the general election with 96.1% of the vote. So the time that he lost the 1924 election was the only election he'd ever lose. He never lost another one.
Really? Wow. Yeah.
So his first year in, he comes in swinging. So he quickly consolidated power. He fired hundreds in the state bureaucracy at all ranks, from cabinet level heads to departments to state road workers. He got everybody out of there. He comes in. First thing he wanted to do was free textbooks for school children, because Louisiana was one of the most undereducated states in the nation, and certain parts of it were almost at a practically 100% unformal education rate. Reading and literacy was crazy low among white men, more so among white women, and even worse among blacks. So it was like which is the tiers they judged shit at the time. So it was really bad. So he decides, hey, you know what? But it was bad because A, you had to pay for your own school books. You want to go to school, had to pay for the textbooks from elementary school up in that state. And then also, you getting there was a problem because none of these people had paved roads. So there's a storm, so you got to drive your kid to school on dirt mud roads, and you're paying for the books. For most families, it was just an investment that they couldn't do. So he decides, all right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to he's like, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do free school books for everybody. So he starts doing that. And then he's like, also, we're going to start paving the roads. So they were like wondering how he's going to pay for this. And he's like, all right, what we're going to do is we are going to do a 5% barrel, 5 cent a barrel tax on his old enemy Standard Oil. So he brings it into the legislature to get the vote passed. It fails 67-13. No, sorry. He does. They at this point, people are like, "Hey, you're acting more like a dictator because you're coming in here saying that Standard Oil needs to get this new tax levied against it." So his first real opponents start kind of congealing and coming against him. And at one point, they vote to impeach him, and so the vote passes 67-13.
On what grounds?
That he was overstepping bounds and trying to consolidate his power.
Okay.
Yeah. So. The disapproval of the bill, they vote to impeach him. And there was a demand for a recount because it passed 67-13. Well, then there was an accusation that there was an electric voting machine that had been tampered with. And this led to a huge all-out brawl in the legislature where Huey Long's brother eventually bit a man on the neck, which is pretty sick.
Wait, an electric voting machine in the chamber?
Yeah, apparently they used those back then. I don't know how it tabulated, but it had an electronic voting machine, and somebody said they had rigged it. Which, yeah.
Okay. So then they got in a fist fight?
Yeah, then a huge brawl breaks out, and his brother ends up biting a man on the neck. So,
tight. Why is his brother there? I guess that's part of the impeachment is you got your whole family in here.
You're also
hiring all these people.
Yeah, he appointed his brother into a whole bunch of positions. He appointed friends, family, things like that. But so he also he did a lot of accomplishments though. So if you ever driven on a bridge in the state of Louisiana, you've probably driven on something that was built by him. There was only about 331 miles of paved road in the entire state, and he went.
Wow.
He constructed 2,816 more miles of paved roads in the state.
Damn.
He also he built 111 bridges and started construction on the first bridge over the Mississippi entirely in Louisiana. It's the Huey P. Long Bridge, is still there to this day.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know it's in New Orleans, right? Or close to New Orleans. I feel like I've driven over that when I've been going into New Orleans.
Have you ever seen the Louisiana Capitol building?
In Baton Rouge?
Baton Rouge. It's insane. It's 450 feet tall.
It's really tall, right?
Yeah, it's the tallest Capitol building.
Okay, yeah. Yep. He built that?
Yeah, he built that as well. Yeah, he had that built. But this is kind of crazy. So his character, once he got into these places, he was loud, he was crass. He did not stay at the governor's mansion. He had a new governor's mansion built, but he didn't stay there. Instead, he kept these super expensive hotel rooms in both Baton Rouge and in New Orleans. And he would stay there and he rarely slept. He drank insane amounts of alcohol, but there'd be times that they say when he would be drunk and clearly overweight, he'd be packing on the pounds, and then somebody'd see him 2 weeks and he was sober and looked trim again. And
damn.
Yeah.
Do you know people like that? I know people like that where it's they only have 2 settings. They can't moderation is impossible for them, but they don't, it's not they always go excess. A lot of people, moderation is impossible for them and they end up with addiction or whatever. But I have a couple of friends where it's they will go on a bender for a month, and then the next time I see them, they're training for a triathlon. It's so crazy. I don't know. Just that's definitely a personality type, and I guess he was one of them.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. They said he was just he almost had LBJ levels of negging people. That's
a lot of the way that you're talking about him sort of throwing his weight around with people reminds me of LBJ.
Yeah.
And he was similarly a pretty big guy, right? Wasn't he big?
You know what? I
Or
don't.
just big
He was a big
personality? I'm
personality.
gonna look him up.
He looks like a little minuscule Babe Ruth.
He does look like Babe Ruth. So
Yeah.
he was only 5'10", but I do feel like he has presence for sure.
Yeah. I'm 5'10" in height, but I'm 6'2" in spirit, is something he might have said.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he has all these like on that documentary. I just saw some wild ass like interactions that he had with people. There's one guy who was involved in like a youth politics thing in his high school, and he said that he met Huey Long at a luncheon, and he's like, he didn't order any food. He just nervously ate off our plates. Like he would just sit there and talking to you, and he would just like kind of just start taking at your food. And the kid was like,
I guess.
yeah. He was like, I didn't really know what to tell the guy. But yeah, he also was like, he started at this point. He starts buying up politicians or like putting people in his employ and giving out government jobs. And once he had you, he kind of like stopped even treating you with respect. Cause like
yeah. Once you were loyal, it was like, I don't need to butter you up anymore because you're my man.
They literally said a guy came up to him and tried to shake his hand, and he looked at him and goes, "I don't need to shake your hand. I bought you."
Damn.
One time, a guy thought that their deal was going to be somewhat private, and it wasn't public, but among people when we weren't in the public eye, he would like take the guy and go, "I got this guy so damn cheap, I thought I stole him." Imagine having like, what do you use? He's like, I don't know.
I feel like that's a very Trump thing to say about somebody. He loves to talk about who's in his pocket in a very like, you're not like allowed to do that.
Yeah.
You're supposed to like be quiet about that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be cool. Yeah, it's like people like openly offering you drugs at a party. You're like, no, can you talk to me fucking out back? Jesus Christ, like what are you doing? Oh man, he also like this is one thing that he did that I don't see in a lot of the documentaries, but I found this. He didn't like gambling dens and brothels, and he actually sent the National Guard to raid those establishments with orders to shoot without hesitation, like which is crazy. Yeah,
that's nuts.
Gambling equipment was burned. Prostitutes were arrested. $25,000, equivalent to about $375,000, was confiscated for government funds. Local newspapers ran photos of National Guardsmen forcibly searching nude women. Oh, woof. The city authorities had not requested military force, and martial law had not been declared.
Is this in New Orleans?
This is in New Orleans, yeah. And so it's like, again, I kind of want to get it just more parallels with Trump. He's deploying National Guard into places to exert his will.
Yeah.
He started.
I mean, at least that is something the governor is allowed to do, unlike the president. I don't think is allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty crazy when they didn't ask for it.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. The Louisiana Attorney General denounced Long's actions as legal, but Long rebuked him, saying nobody asked him for his opinion. Yeah, so one thing I wondering is like, why does people throughout history that get stuff done, why do they have to come in this package? It feels like, I just feel like people who get results, like people who play by the rules, nothing really happens. It's a lot of talk, but like people who get shit done, I don't know. I'm wondering if that just like, it speaks to like the ineffectiveness of democracy.
I think that's part of it in that like, bureaucracy is very complicated. And I also think like maybe it's not so much that other people don't get things done. It's that if you get it done through those normal channels, you're usually ending up with something that is like much more compromised because a lot more people had to weigh in as opposed to, because that's like what people are attracted to in like an authoritarian leader is like they're decisive. They think of something and then they do it, which is not how a legislative process works. A legislative process involves all of these different, they pass the bill and then the bill gets notes and then it goes back and then, like it's just like this really complicated thing that like all these different people get to weigh in on. And by the end, it's sort of like we were talking about with the campaign platforms. It's so convoluted. People stop listening to what it even accomplished halfway through.
Yeah.
And you get like all these half measures and stuff because it's just like everybody's got to put in their own little piece. You know what I mean? Everybody's got to like, oh, well, my district has all of these corn farmers, so like this needs to have a bunch of corn subsidies in it too, like all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Whereas like if you're abusing executive power, you can just be like, this is now the law of the land, fucking do it. And like, you can have a good person, you can have somebody who's going to do things in your favor that says that, and you could have somebody who does things not in your favor who does that. You know what I mean?
There was a term somebody discussing it where they were like, is there room in New Orleans for benevolent authoritarianism? And it was just like, and that's, you know, it kind of reminds me of effective altruism that we talked about in previous episodes.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, you know, the give or take. I see like medieval historians talk about, you know, people talk about monarchy like it's a really bad thing. They're like, sometimes when the dice rolls, when the dice lands in the right way, having one guy in charge is the best thing that can happen. Like
it's efficient.
Yeah, it's efficient. It gets things done, you know? So
I also understand why in Louisiana in particular, they would maybe be okay with a little bit of authoritarianism just because it's so battered by natural disasters, and just like having one person who's like, okay, I'm approving money and FEMA, and like just one person being like, all of this is going to be dealt with, as opposed to like, we need to go through this whole huge approval process to get people, you know, like, I don't know if you've ever, like with FEMA, it's like you have to fill out all this fucking paperwork, and like, you know, you get like a quarter of what you asked for by the end of the day. If you just have like one person who's going, we're going to fix this, like I can see why that would be very seductive. And like, again, in New Orleans, like I can see why you would maybe be attracted to quote unquote benevolent authoritarianism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially because like the politics in New Orleans have always been sort of notoriously corrupt. So like,
yeah,
you know.
And a lot of people, like a lot of people, I was watching in the one of the documentaries where people talking about how they feel that like they'll never shake that reputation because of Huey Long. They're like, like it's a shadow we're always going to live in because of this guy. So he ends up running for Senate and wins, and he gets elected to Senate. So now he has a presence in Washington. And they said that like when you're a first-year senator, you're supposed to be kind of seen and not heard. You don't say anything. You don't shake anything up. And
that does not agree with this guy.
That's not him. Yeah, he's walking in. By the way, the way he dressed was insane. Somebody described him as an assault on the eyes, because he found out early in his salesman days. He was like, if I dress nice, that projects a legitimacy, because like I know what I'm talking about. Look at all the good decisions I've made is why I can dress nice. So like he took dressing nice to just being like swagged the fuck out at all times. They said he were
again, Danny McBride in Righteous Gemstones is like the vibe, but like 30s version, 30s Louisiana version.
And he was like, he would come in just like, you know, like seersucker suits, like white linen suits with like, everybody was wearing hats back then anyways, but he had hats. Yeah,
this guy to me, this guy, if he wasn't literally doing it, he was spiritually wearing a lot of rings.
Yeah. Well, what he loved to do is he would wear these nice ass clothes, and he would give a speech about, you know, look at this finery that I've been blessed with. I just kind of want to help everybody else get this, but I never forget where I come from. And he would take his shoes off, and he'd have holes in his socks. You're like, huh? Nice. Look at that. And people were like, people were like, by God, he's the real deal. You know, like, look at those holes in his socks. That's
interesting, because that was like a big thing up here when AOC was running, is that a big thing that people said was she canvassed so much that she had holes in her shoes. And she would like show her shoes that she like, I walked these out because I canvassed so much to get elected.
Yeah.
Which is like a very out of the same page, you know?
Yeah. And it's like at the same time, I think all politics is at the very least, you know, slightly theatrical, if not completely.
Oh yeah.
And so, but it's like you see something like that, and like even me, who's like kind of a cynical guy in that regard, I'm like, well, shit, those shoes. She didn't put those shoes got the holes in them. Yeah, like she earned them. Let's see your the holes in your shoes.
Yeah, no, I don't have any. Yeah. I don't have any criticism of that. Fucking Cuomo's not wearing holes in his shoes.
Yeah. Like, it's like, come on, Chuck Schumer, let's see let's see the holes in your shoes.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys haven't even had to. Your job hasn't been threatened in fucking 3 decades. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and like the holy socks and stuff, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit cynical, but like that's the game. That's what, like, politics is a show. You have to have some flair. You have to have some entertainment. And like you said, I think it was before we were recording, but you said like this guy loved to shit talk too, which I feel like is also part of that.
Yeah.
Like he would
Yeah, he would come in always. They said he would have nicknames. Again, similar to Trump, he could come up with a nickname in the drop of a hat and have it stick, and people would, and he was just great at that. He also, this is interesting, he endorsed Hattie Caraway of Arkansas, a widow of the underdog candidate, in a crowded field and conducted a whirlwind 7-day tour of the state, going around and got her elected for the first female woman ever elected to a full term in the Senate. Was
nice.
was under his watch and guidance.
I'm assuming before, because it was elected to a full term, I'm assuming there were some wives. Like the guy died and put in his wife is probably what I'm guessing. That
it would just make traveling so much easier if you could just give her a job too. Oh man, yeah, he got in there. Yeah, he started just coming up talking shit. He would do he met with FDR and refused to take off his hat. But would take it off occasionally to make a point and put it over his chest and then put it back on.
And then put it right back on. Damn, dude.
The one thing
FDR, he's supposed to be on your side with a lot of this shit.
So he ended up criticizing FDR from the left. He said, he was like, dude, he said the New Deal was just another corporate bailout, which doesn't really make any sense historically. But he was like, basically, he said he was not passing the left's purity test, He was mistrustful of it actually going into the pockets of 100%. Yeah, he would go through. He would conduct long ass filibusters, and he would have clerks file superfluous documents. Lyndon B. Johnson later said he was simply entranced by Long. He said he was just an interesting character. But so he gets there, he's consolidated his power. There's a lot of ideas that basically the guy who he left as the governor when he left to go be the senator in Washington is basically just a puppet of his, which is 100% true. The guy's, nobody's doing anything outside of this pocket. Also, he started giving everyone he gave a government job to, he demanded 10% of the salary in return. And he would put it into the deduct box, which was essentially the war chest. And
because I was wondering, because he was buying all these people, what did that mean? Where did that money come from? He was installing them and then he was basically a mobster.
Yeah. He's he had to get his
That's
vig.
mob shit.
Yeah. So his idea, kind of not really the answer to the New Deal, but he introduced the Share Our Wealth plan. This was legislation that would use the wealth from the Long plan to guarantee every family a basic household grant of $5,000, minimum annual income of 1/3 the average family homestead value and income. He also supplemented the plan with proposals for free college, vocational training, veterans benefits, public works projects. He said nobody should be a millionaire. Nobody should be a millionaire more than 10 times over. So he said you can only make $1 million a year. Everything else is getting taken. And also, he said that you have to 50 million personal fortunes are capped at 50 million. And you cannot. Also, he wanted to propose a thing where you couldn't own a home that was beyond the needs for the necessities of raising a family. And so he really was going to do and I can. Some of those, in my head, I'm I'm not even, obviously know my politics, but I hear that. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? It's what's a family home? And it feels like something that really couldn't be regulated. But you're saying, even if 1% of these things goes through, he's still see what I did? I did all this stuff for you. So he had some.
It's also this is such a different time. I don't know what the marginal tax rate was then, but I know in the tax on people who made over $1 million used to be 75% or something crazy.
Yeah, so they say the corporate tax rate was 50.
Yeah, so it's not so outlandish that he would be if you make more than $1 million, you don't get any of it. Now, if they did that with, I don't know, I guess it would be what, 500 million or something would be equivalent to what that was or something. People would go, even, those dummies who, the temporarily embarrassed millionaires thing, people would not go for it. But shit was different back then. And there were I don't think there has been a time where people hated rich people more than the Great Depression, probably.
Yeah.
So
and he pounced all over because he had been peddling that shit since the Gilded Age, and he was like, dude, I'm primed for this. So,
I saw this coming. The refrain of leftists everywhere. I fucking saw this coming, and you didn't listen to me, and now we're fucked.
Yeah, the thing will be cursed to say until the end of time. But so back in Louisiana, he's starting to get criticized by saying he's basically serving two positions at once. He has complete domination of the state's power. one thing I did want to bring up is that he loved LSU, Louisiana State University, to the point where he ended up pretty much taking control over that university. He to the point where he would like had says in football plays or what players they hired. He helped.
There was nothing in Louisiana this guy wasn't.
Yeah, no, he's in on everything. Yeah, it's like if you're making a boudin sausage, I want it. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they said he just ran everything. There was a guy. This one lady said
standardizing the gumbo recipe. Yeah. Like you will not do this without my oversight.
So he also gets very paranoid at this time because he's like, man, they're coming for me. They're gonna fucking kill me. He ends up getting the he like uses a personal bodyguard attaché that he travels with. He draws the blinds in the office of the Senate, not so like he doesn't want snipers getting a shot at him. He moves only at night. His bodyguards are instructed to even keep his closest friends from getting more than an arm's length away from him. And he's just wildly paranoid. Also, he has a family this whole time. He's never home. His kids are like, we never saw the guy.
Some Tony Soprano shit. Yeah, going back to the mob shit. Just
he's really like
stashing her family in the safe house.
Yeah.
Ever.
So finally one day, on September 8th, 1935, Huey Long, who was 42 years old, was passing a bill that would gerrymander the district of an opponent, Judge Benjamin Pavey, who had held his position for 28 years. So he goes in to make sure, because they said he was always there. If the bills were going through, he's going to be there all day, make sure shit went smoothly. So he goes in, takes his seat, and shit does go smoothly. All the bills get passed, and he's walking out, and he gets approached by the judge's son-in-law, a man by the name of Carl Weiss. He's a surgeon and a family man. He's married to Judge Pavey's daughter. So he walks around, walks up to the crowd of group people going up to him, and the guy who watches this go down in the documentary, he was like, I see him come around the corner, and I was wearing a derby hat with a white linen suit. And I was like, is everyone fly as fuck? Like, is everyone just dripped the hell out in this entire affair?
I think they were.
Yeah. So the man comes in with arm's length of Huey P. Long, and he pulls out his pistol. It's a .38, puts it towards him, shoots. It goes downwards through his chest and out through the small of his back. And fucks up a lot of shit along the way. His bodyguards, who were nicknamed the Skull Crushers, which is just kind of tight. Cool. Yeah, the Skull Crushers unloaded this guy, Carl Weiss, who they found out was shot 60 times after he did that. Yeah, he was just a bag of bullets at that point.
And that's with 30s guns. So that's crazy.
And so Long gets rushed to Our Lady of the Lake Hospital. He was taken to an operating room where surgery tried to close perforations on the intestines, but failed to stop internal bleeding. Now, at this point, the hatred for him among his enemies was high. People said every time 2 or 3 people got together, they talked about somebody needs to kill this guy. And it was mainly like elites, but it did siphon out to like where, as we see now, where you'll have like the middle class just parroting the values of the elites, even though it doesn't work for them.
Sure.
And so he's in there, and everybody at the hospital talked about like, I'm glad he's dead. I'm glad he got shot. Like that was like, either some of them had like more righteous fears of like, one guy said he very well could have turned into an American dictator. Like if he would have gotten elected to president, like who knows where his inclinations would have stopped, which is not an invalid fear. But there was one nurse in there who said, oh, that's Huey Long? That's that man they're talking about? If he's anything like they tell him, I should give him some water because it's going to be real hot where he's going. And then he died. And they said his last words were, God, don't let me die.
Hate to hear it. That sucks. That's some shitty last words. That's not what you want.
He said, God, don't let me die.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, he said, God, don't let me die. I have so much to do. That was what he said. And then one of his boys.
That's pretty good. That's better than just God, don't let me die.
One of his boys asked him, hey, where's that box with everybody's money in it? Where's the deduct box? And he said, I'll tell you later.
Good bit. Good dying bit.
Yeah, very funny.
How did the Share Our Wealth plan do? What happened with that?
So the Share Our Wealth plan, it went up against essentially it was being opposed by just about everybody in the political system. After he died, it was ran solely off, not solely, but it's largely off like local clubs that were called Share Our Wealth clubs. And when Huey...
Okay, so these were like regular people who were for it.
Yeah, regular people who were for it. That was kind of like the rank and file volunteers making the teamwork, making the dream work. And at that point, when it was, he was putting it as a alternative to the New Deal. Shortly after his death, Roosevelt gets elected. The New Deal gets put into place. The Share Our Wealth guys, they don't have their figurehead anymore. It just kind of fizzles. So, yeah.
But he does take some stuff from the Share Our Wealth plan.
Oh,
right?
yeah, very much.
Does?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And like a lot of stuff that people have tried to do moving forward, healthcare, college. It's all in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Rosalie,
and is crushed in similar ways. Like regardless of whether the guy was a dictator or not, it's like they'll find some reason not to do this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like everybody's like that's the whole thing. They said, "Why does it agree with his execution?" It's like, where are you gonna get the money from? Or what? It's all pie in the sky. And it's always pie in the sky. But you know what sounds really crazy and unimaginable to me is I'd like $300 billion to Israel. That sounds great. I didn't think that could happen, but they made that happen. Right. And that's there's nothing.
It's I think about let me read something that I read that I can't stop thinking about. It was actually in an article about Israel, but I think it's true in a lot of ways. It's from, drumroll please, New York Magazine. I will say who wrote it once I'm done reading it. So it says, what's remarkable about the U.S. position in all this is its assumed passivity, as if somehow the most powerful country in the world were composed of people with no power. The dance of politics, the obsession with optics, the influence of lobbies, petty careerism, ambition, all of this has eroded something more fundamental, the government's grasp of the seriousness of life. It has also destroyed any last semblance of accountability. Which, man, they just all act like they can't do anything all the time. We have and it's no ability, really frustrating.
Yeah, no ability to do anything. I remember when during the one of the many numerous bad things that's happened recently, some Democratic senator was like, "What do they want us to do? Block the doors and not let them walk in to vote?" And it was like, "Yeah, it'd be nice."
I mean, like that's the kind of stuff that like regular people are doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like regular people are like putting caltrops under ice tires right now to prevent people from getting sent to disappeared, basically, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, the least you could do as a senator is like stand in front of the door. Like,
yeah.
Let's go.
Although eventually they're just gonna move you out the way, but shit, man, throw us a bone, make us feel good.
Yeah.
So at that point he passed away, and he was again a very divisive figure. He started a political dynasty. His family, his brother Earl was elected lieutenant governor in 1936 and governor in 48 and 56. Long's widow Rose Long replaced him in the Senate, and his son Russell was a U.S. senator from 1948 to 1987.
And look, no shade to Louisiana. Louisiana is a lovely place, but they're always like, we can't shed this reputation for corruption. It's like all of your politicians are related to all of your politicians. Like you got to change that if you want us to not think that way about you. Like there are so many political dynasties down there. It's crazy. He was the progenitor of one of them. That's how popular he was with people, that all these other people got elected.
Yeah. If I could give it to a word of advice to the Democratic Party out there, it's like you see what happens is even when you just pretend that you're going to give people shit, like you're going to do something for somebody, because that's like I guess almost not even to their credit, but the Democratic Party hasn't even it's not even like they've broken promises. They haven't even made a promise. They have no messaging. They have nothing to say. It's just like, we're not those guys. So, and like this guy, and he hated the Democrats as well as the Republicans. He was truly a bit of a leftist in that regard. Not a bit, I mean, very much so. But he said that he was like, the American political system is like sitting at a restaurant and you got a Republican waiter and a Democrat waiter, and they're both serving you the same plates, and it's the banks cooking them in the back. And I was like, damn, that's that's pretty.
That's a good one.
That's pretty gangster. I'm gonna throw in some Huey Long speeches and the clips for this, as well as the video itself. He really was a hell of an orator. He was a very funny guy, and if you only judged him by those words, you can seriously see how his politics could just start a movement like that. So, worth it. Yeah, was it worth it shooting him? Maybe. Like, we don't know what would have happened.
It's really interesting to think about what might have happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
apparently that's a very common, like alternate historians. This is like a big. What if Huey P. Newton was not, or Huey P. Long was not assassinated?
Huey P. Long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting counterfactual to contemplate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like. Great guy, maybe thumbs up for assassinating him. Unclear.
Yeah. That we'll never know. But yeah, that was Huey Long, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys like what you hear, like I said, you guys can check us out on social media. We are Lie, Cheat, Steal Podcast on all the socials. You can look us up on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And we are also on Patreon. If you liked what you heard and you want to hear some great back catalog of content that we have of really well-produced episodes, you can go to patreon.com/lie, cheat, steal. And then also...
That's not right. Patreon.com/lie, cheat, and steal.
Lie, cheat, and steal. Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Patreon.com/lie, cheat, and steal. You get access to 2 more episodes every month, ad-free episodes, and access to our Discord server, which is a great place to be and just discuss scams with everybody in the scam gang. That being said, Kath, you got anything for us?
No, I don't think so. Happy summer, everybody.
Yeah, happy summer. Have fun, be safe, be smart, but above all, don't get caught.